Got a little preview of the Reign of Terror coming next year. The Dog and Pony Show, as Mark said. Chris Jackson, you hear it? Invocation? This is a great story. Anybody got an invocation ready to go?
What kind of president are you?
Anybody feel like praying? There you go.
Bow our heads. Dear Lord, we thank you for the blessings that you give us. We thank you for our friendships that we develop here. We thank you for giving us opportunity to share our works, our funds and everything to help people in the world. We have outstanding members that do that. We bless the food that we're about to receive. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Things we say and can do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Sergeant at Arms, Dale.
I sit in front of you.
Dale, you got Sergeant at Arms?
I do. We have 42 members present today, and Kathy and Otto, I think we should get.
You only got, okay, fantastic. Birthdays and anniversaries.
We have a couple.
All right.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Might slip in. No, okay. All right.
Right here.
Will you? Yeah. All right. We have some club anniversaries today. Blake Hunt. What are we going to do again this week? Yeah, I did that last week. Sorry about that, buddy. All right. Chris Neal, I don't think he's here. Didn't make it today. Tom Nelson, I know you're here. Did I ask you last week? What time? There he is. I didn't check with you last week, did I?
No.
No, okay. I was going to make sure. Blake said I did him last week. All right. How many years with us, Don?
With Rotary?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
All right. There's an honest answer. 2005, and that makes it
13. There you go.
14.
Anniversary better. Let's not make him the treasurer. What year is it?
So that something.
Let's see. Now, while you're coming up, you're going to do your birthday.
Yeah, so because we have radically changed well, not radically, but minorly changed the format, I wanted to kind of show everybody what we're doing and talk a little bit about how it's different. So this year we're doing it at Revolution Mills, so that's a little different. We have a different band, which is going to be the broadcast. You'll have a photograph on all the stuff. They're not a agent band, right? So I found them through kind of some back channels. They perform at big festivals. They are a very vibrant band. They play rock, like kind of bluegrass rock, do cover songs and originals. That you can find them on YouTube. If you look for YouTube, the broadcast, you can see some of their videos. They're pretty good. So highly recommended. What should be different this year is we're actually going to have it. We're going to have a stage. Kelly Harrell has rented a nice stage for us, and we're going to have the band out here next to the stacks. This is from the parking area looking down. We're going to cordon off all of this, and this is going to be the concert area, essentially. So if any of you have not been there, the restaurant Cow, which was the Kitchen and Market, is here to the right. So this is our new logo. It's not included on any of our sponsorship material because they just did it. They were kind of slow getting me the information, so we went without it. But they're going to host it. They're going to provide the food. It's a little bit better food than ballpark food. It's heavy hors d'oeuvres and drinks, included with the sponsorship. The VIPs are going to be located in this area, so they're going to have a private bar and food here, all set up with restricted access. They'll also have restricted parking. The way it hashes out, the sponsorships come to about $100 a ticket. So for a concert, good food, drinks, and VIP parking, $100 is, and raffle tickets is a bargain. So we upped the ante a little bit. We raised the fee. This is a view at night, so you can. It's hard to see in here because it's kind of bright, but it's a pretty spectacular setting. I think it'll be a little more lively than, we didn't quite fill the ballpark up. It's a great venue, it provides lots of things, but we didn't fill it up. We can fill this space up and make it look like a great party. The only way to do that is for y'all to ask your friends, your coworkers, your vendors to come and enjoy it with us. Remember, this is how Walt is going to fund his year. So Walt greatly appreciates us all contributing. I want to give a quick shout out to the people that have helped at the planning so far. Kelly, Chris, Lisa, Gigi, Chris Neal, Matthew Foster, Dale helped. Who am I forgetting? Howard. So all of these people have already contributed lots of hours. Judy and David have contributed sponsorships in kind as well. So their efforts were professional. So all of these people have donated some time and energy. It just takes a few minutes to ask, right? If you don't ask, you can't get a yes. If you don't ask, you already got a no. So just ask, 2, 3 people. You get one sponsor, you sell your tickets, you're there. That's it.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Guy,
Yes.
my question.
Yeah.
Seems like an email form was sent out so we could email it to the applicant.
What's your question?
An ask letter. Bobby C. wrote an ask letter years ago. It's been circulating and sent out.
Did nobody get my email last week?
I didn't get it.
Yeah, but is this, can you get this, send this electronically?
Okay, so I sent a PDF with the sponsorship form, with the brochure, and actually wrote a letter. Nobody got it?
Oh, did you use the .db?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you gotta update all that. After you highlight, you gotta update the names.
Okay, I will resend it today. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah. Oh, last thing, Chris Justice has created a website. Where is it?
Yeah, just click on Chrome.
It's really complicated, GateCityFundraiser.com.
Yeah, the domain name's GateCityFundraiser.com, and this is just another tool in the toolbox for you guys to help with sales, right? So it's got the brochure on it. You have, and then it's got the countdown, 58 days, guys. And then you've got an order form down here. So you can actually drive people to the website and they can order off this. There's also a link to the brochure. If you wanted to just do a short email and provide that link, you can send that out to your contacts as well. And one thing that was asked for, the last couple of years, I think a lot of people didn't want to use the website to drive people to the sales because they didn't feel like they were going to get credit for it. At checkout now, there's a drop-down menu where the person buying can choose the Rotarian that sent them there. So we will be able to track it this year. So, and that's actually one of the mandatory items at checkout. There's a non-applicable for private parties, but anybody that you steer there is able to pick your name. All right.
Thanks, guys. Gigi.
Oh, yep. I'm sorry. That's all right. I need to. All right. Real quick, everybody on your table, there should be 4 or 5 of these little cards. Everybody take those and put them in your pocket. I'm going to tell you how to use it. It's super quick. This is a recruitment tool, and it's David Lillard came up with a great idea. They fold down in half. You should see Matthew Foster and Dan Quinn on the front. When you open it up, what you do is you write your name and your email or your cell phone if you meet somebody and you want to invite them to come to our club. and then you're done. And then they can call you, and then they can email you about when they want to come. So the ball's in their court, and it's just a little recruitment tool. Talks about our Rotary, what Rotary International and Rotary does, and it's just to help get more people coming to breakfast.
You can give them this with the brochure.
Yeah. It all goes together.
Good point. Gigi, you want to talk about district conference a little bit?
Yes, I will. I want to talk about district conference, April 26, 27, 28. First of all, I want to address the question that is floating around. Full disclosure, I have not attended a district conference myself. Full disclosure. So I heard through the grapevine that some members were wondering whether the conference might be boring. Let me tell you something. I have not been to a district conference, but I've been to 2 Rotary International conventions with this guy over there. And anybody who thinks that it's going to be boring when he's here is mistaken. He's the life of the party, so to make sure we have fun. Now, the second thing is, at the last meeting, I spoke to very specific members that I wanted to encourage to come. Today, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make a very general, generic announcement, and I'm going to look at anybody. I'm looking at the food. So here it is. To all my open-minded friends, my free-spirited friends, to all adventure seekers, everybody who's between projects or has an open agenda, just remember this. What happened in Greensville stays in Greensville.
District conference at Grove Park Inn. It was so exciting that the president came. Mike Conrad getting kind of slayed on stage, and there's video of that somewhere. They show up at some point. There is a board meeting this coming Tuesday. Lisa's joined. Prudential. Meals of Hope.
Piedmont. Not Prudential.
Not in
Piedmont.
Let's see, we did Meals of Hope last Saturday. Yep.
I'd just like to thank everyone that came out on Saturday. It was a phenomenal event for 2 hours. We worked very, very hard. And they worked hard in the morning. There was a group in the morning. Gigi was a part of that group. And I think that there was definitely 80,000 meals plus that we completed in the 4-hour time block that we were there, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon. It was very worthwhile. So thanks to everybody that made it happen. Raise your hand if you were there on Saturday. All right, great job. Give them a hand.
I hope that was 10 in the morning and not 2 in the morning.
Oh, yeah, no.
What after the bars closed? Everybody has the munchies they'll be eating all, anyway. Let's see, Matthew.
Good morning, everybody. Today is going to be Sun Up Genius Day for me. I've got a lot to do with it, and just remember on the 30th, we're going to Victory Junction to do the zip line deck. And also, I'm going to be sending another Sign Up Genius. Don't just assume it's the same one that I repeated. It's going to be for all the positions for the fundraiser that are filled for volunteers. So there'll be several items on that list. I'm hoping that you can pick and choose. And so just don't think I sit one and then immediately another one. They're the same. They're not. So thank you.
What was the date again on the deck?
The 30th.
30th.
Bobby C.
Happy dollar.
Happy dollar. That's what I'm talking
Chip here. Chip person.
about. Yeah, right.
You tell them how exciting that district conference is. The Secret Service came to your room.
Only once. Only once. Yeah.
Send them away.
You know, we ran into those same Secret Service guys here at the Green Valley Grill not more than a year later.
Really?
And they laughed. They recognized us.
They
recognized
How could they
us.
forget?
Yeah. That's another story. It'll involve politics, so I'm not going to tell it.
Oh, you in politics?
Yeah, but I do have happy dollars.
Okay.
I do have happy dollars. First one, we have a new member of our pack. She's out in the truck. She is a chewer. She chewed up only 1 leash and 1 hat in the hour and a half it took to get her back here. She's now in a kennel. She's a German short-haired pointer. Looks just like a mini Otto. Great little girl. Wilder
got accepted to Yale for Masters of Environmental Management and Forestry. Number 3 school in the world, number 2 school in the United States. All we need now is some money. And my daughter announced that we're going to have another two-legged member of the pack come September. So.
That's a happy $10 because I appreciate you allowing me to blow up your inbox this week with the opening of our gallery at Grandover, which is tonight. You're all welcome. It's a drop-by, glass of wine, have some great food, and see our new gallery that we just opened and take tours of any of the property that you want to see. The suites are pretty cool, and we'll have those all open for you to see. But I want to up the ante on district conference, because if you haven't been, especially for the new members, it is where kind of Rotary comes together for people. I know people that have gone there before and they kind of came away and said, now I understand what's going on. So, for anybody that signs up for district conference, I'm going to put you in a hat for a drawing for a grand getaway, 2 couples, Grandover full experience, bi-level suite, dinner, spa, golf, okay? So, but if you have never been before, you're going to get 2 chances in there. You get 2 pieces in there. For anybody that's been once, 1 time. Anybody that's been never been, 2 chances. So sign up. It's an amazing event. I can tell you, Greenville. If you had not been to Greenville, South Carolina recently, it is a happening town. I mean, it just going there just for that is worth it. So sign up and go. It's an amazing event.
What time is it?
It's 6 to 8. Drop by.
Right. Dr. Reynolds.
So I've already gotten busted a couple of times, so I've got $50. News and Record decided to include my Christmas, day after Christmas story in an article on wearable technology and the future of cardiology. And I've got a couple extra dollars as an apology. They came to my CrossFit class and actually took a picture of me in shorts and workout. Sorry, right up front.
Gigi.
I
Front page. Front page, I saw it
share,
briefly on the way out the door.
I wanted to share a story of my experience at the Meals of Hope. Kim mentioned that I was there in the morning. So I could not be with all of you in the afternoon. I had a conflict, so I went in the morning. And of course, you go there, you meet, the majority of the members were not from Gate City. So I met a member who should remain nameless and whose club should remain nameless. But I would say that that particular member informed me that they were from the largest and oldest Rotary club. And then she proceeded, and then she asked me, well, don't you feel it challenging to be in a club with so few women and so many men? To which I replied, I find it beneficial to all concerned.
Boy, Buster, I got more in one day than Buster did in a month. Well, Grandpappy, Grandmammy weren't getting along. He'd been watching a lot of sports on TV and doing his thing, so finally he agreed to go to a marriage counselor. So they go to the marriage counselor, and Grandmammy just unloads with all the neglect and lack of intimacy and so on. And the counselor comes over and starts rubbing her neck. She's massaging her neck, and all of a sudden her whole expression just changed. She turned to Grandpappy and said, did you see what that little bit of attention did? He said, yeah, that's miraculous. So would you think that maybe 3 times a week you can see to it that she gets attention like that? And Grandpappy said, well, I can get her over here on Monday. and I can come on Monday and Wednesday, but on Friday I play golf.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I have the honor this morning of introducing our speaker. Forgive my voice, but I'll try to be loud. Our speaker is Kathy Amato, Kathy has an extensive background in higher education, marketing, and publishing. She's currently serves as the Senior Lecturing Fellow at Duke University, where she teaches in areas of innovation, entrepreneurship, and marketing. Previous roles have included Senior Strategist for Innovation and Entrepreneurship Education at Duke and Associate Dean of Duke's Fuquay School of Business. Outside of work, Kathy's an active volunteer in the local community of Greensboro. Her volunteer efforts have covered a broad spectrum, ranging from serving as PTA president at 2 different schools. That's deserve applause right there. To supporting Christ United Methodist Church as a member and trustee. One of her favorite areas of volunteer work is the Greensboro Symphony Guild, which is something near and dear to my heart, where she's been a member for 13 years. Kathy and her husband, Al Lees, have 3 adult daughters who all enjoy the rich local arts community while growing up in Greensboro, exploring violin, viola, piano, madrigal singing, ballet, modern dance, and visual arts. The entire family has been greatly enriched through these experiences and the value found in arts and education. I asked Walt if I could do the introduction this morning because Kathy's here to tell us about arts in Greensboro and why it's so important for any community, but also she's representing one of the charities that I asked our club to sponsor this year, and we greatly appreciate that charitable donation. So, Kathy.
Thank you.
Just don't see the presentation.
Yeah,
I'll switch it off.
I'm working on that.
Yeah. Actually, well, don't worry about it. Fill that screen, and I'll do it without the slides. I can do that. The great thing about teaching for a living is you frequently find yourself in a setting where it's like, okay, I've got to improvise. So we're going to improvise a little bit today, so Walt won't have to worry too much about the presentation. First of all, I would like to thank you for the very generous gift you made to the Beginning Strings program through the Symphony Guild. Beginning Strings is an absolutely joyful part of the education effort that we do. It's exactly what you think it is. It's taking small children and giving them the opportunity to learn to play a stringed instrument. And it makes a huge difference in the lives of these young people because most of them go on to continue to be involved in music and the arts all the way through middle school and high school. And we have some students who've been a part of this program now who are in college. And they are majoring in music and are incredibly accomplished musicians. It brings great joy to us that you were a part of that effort. And after having spent just a little tiny bit of time with y'all, I know why it brought joy to us, because you are such a joyful organization. And the joy of that gift, actually came from the joy of your hearts and who you are. And I have loved being, as someone who teaches marketing, a part of a group that came up with this fabulous marketing tool. This is just fantastic. I love it. And anybody who promotes a party that is Party with a Purpose is my kind of group. And the party sounds fantastic. So I'm going to be sharing what y'all are doing, I'm sure, before it's over with my students. Now, in terms of what I want to share with you today, everyone understands the value of the arts. The joy that it just brings to people's lives. And the difference that it makes in terms of, life is just more interesting, it's more fulfilling. I love it. There's a new gallery opening, that we can enjoy all aspects of the arts. Everyone understands that value in terms of how it is very pleasing to one's life. But what we tend to not understand and frequently overlook is the value that the arts bring to a community overall. And we've done a fair amount of exploration of that through the Symphony Guild because we obviously have dedicated all of our efforts to raising money to support one aspect of the arts in this community. And we really want to make sure that we're having the impact that we hope to have in the broader community. And when you explore the value of the arts to a community, you can actually distill it down to 3 areas. That the arts truly do make a community healthy, wealthy, and wise. And you can do all sorts of things now through neuroscience and what we now understand about the way people are wired, the way we respond to stimuli, that really help you understand that the arts truly are having a significant impact. And I'm going to talk at the end of this a little bit around the difference between causation and correlation. And the studies really show now that the arts have very much a causation effect in terms of making people healthy, wealthy, and wise. And we'll start with the healthy piece. And it really cuts along 3 dimensions in terms of what you would hope for in terms of being healthier. When you look at the impact of the arts in terms of decisions people make in other parts of their lives, someone who is involved in any area of the arts, they may volunteer with an arts organization, they may play the piano, they may sing with a local choral group, they may paint, they may be someone who just really enjoys going to lots of art galleries. And when you look at what they do in other parts of their lives, they make healthier choices. They tend to eat more nutritious meals, they exercise more, they are just making a very different set of choices. And once again, they've actually done some testing around what is happening neurally in the brains of these people. And because of the impact of the arts and what it does in terms of making people calmer, more focused, more creative, their brains are very different from the brains of people who are not involved in the arts. And the belief is that in turn is why they are then making these better choices and that they are making these healthier choices. You also can look at the impact those people have just in terms of their civic engagement and what they then are choosing to do to make their community healthier or the world healthier. And I love it that y'all spoke about the work you had in terms of providing nutritious meals to people who otherwise would not have nutritious meals. When you look at communities that have a strong arts emphasis, the way our community does, there tends to be more of that type of volunteer work. People are pulled into that type of volunteer work because they themselves are so concerned about health and being more physically active that they want to provide that opportunity for others either in their own community or beyond the community. And I find it very interesting that Greensboro in Guilford County scores very high in terms of what we do relative to the arts. And we tend to also be very, very involved in this kind of volunteer outreach where we're concerned about health and especially issues of nutrition. So we have that opportunity here as well. And then the third piece is mental health. When you look at mental health, they have discovered that you can do many things through the arts that will have the same impact around, issues of depression, other mental illness issues, that you can get the same results through involvement in the arts as you get through medication. And once again, they've done a number of studies to look at how people are processing information, dealing with stress, dealing with the difficult things in life. And if they are involved in the arts, their community has a strong emphasis on the arts, they are then more mentally healthy than they would be if they did not have that impact. So very much a part of making the community healthier. Now I am going to look at my slides because I'm not going to be able to remember these numbers without looking at the slides. But there is this great study that happens all across the United States every 5 years that looks at the economic impact of the arts. And it's a wonderful study because they're very rigorous in terms of the way they conduct the study. And one of the things they have understood that you need to pull out if you want to say something is having strong economic impact is you cannot look at the amount of money people are actually spending to participate in those artistic endeavors, because then you are actually double counting the impact. And lots of people have said when you talk about the impact of the arts that can be kind of self-serving. The Greensboro Symphony could say we're having a huge economic impact, but all they are doing is actually receiving ticket money from y'all that then is enabling them to support themselves. And this study actually removes all of that and says what is the impact the arts are having in a community in terms of bringing people to that community, having them stay in hotels, enjoy other leisure activities, spend in the shops in the area, employ people. It really is the impact back into the community and not the dollars that are going to the artistic organizations themselves. And as I said, it happens every 5 years all across the country. And the idea is to survey all of the artistic interests in a community and say what then is the impact that happens overall. And I would love to tell you that I've memorized these numbers, but I haven't. In terms of economic activity in Guilford County, from the most recent report that came out in 2017, $162 million in economic activity in Guilford County comes from the arts. And as I said, that is not money people are paying to go to artistic events. You know, it's not going to the symphony, paying to get into an art museum, whatever it might be. It is people coming here and spending money, as well as the people that we are then employing because these opportunities exist. And I apologize, I'm not doing this with my reading glasses. 16 million in local and state taxes come from that. We are employing almost 6,000 people in full-time jobs. So people who otherwise would not be employed in Guilford County have a job because of that. And it's 112 million in the income to those people. Now, if we were to say we had an industry that wanted to come to Guilford County and employ 6,000 people, generate that type of revenue back into the local community, and have those kind of employment, dollars in terms of income to the people, we would all be absolutely thrilled, right? We would think that was an incredible coup for Guilford County. That is what is happening now through the arts. And I believe we are right on a big inflection point where that is just the beginning for Greensboro and Guilford County. Because with everything that is happening downtown, with the Performing Arts Center, with all the emphasis we're putting on that in this community, we are only going to see those numbers go up dramatically. And I don't want to share the numbers from Durham and the county over there because we don't want to be competing with them. But when you look at what happened in Durham before the opening of their Durham Performing Arts Center and after the opening of their Durham Performing Arts Center, they greatly outstrip actually our numbers. So we really are an inflection point where we're going to see that the number of people employed as well as the number of people coming into our community and spending dollars here is going to go up dramatically. Because most of what is happening in Durham now is people driving into Durham to attend things at DPAC. And it really has made a huge difference in what is happening in Durham. So I think we're going to see the same thing here.
And that includes people from Greensboro.
Yes, it is. I hate to say this, but a lot of it is Greensboro dollars right now going to Durham. And we're going to start keeping those dollars here. But the other great piece for us is we have a very strong pull, obviously from the west and from the north, of people coming here as being a great hub to shop and eat. And that is just going to greatly increase. It's going to be really dramatic once that opens. So it's going to be huge. And it also is going to be huge for us relative to what is going to happen for the Greensboro Symphony and the Greensboro Symphony Guild, because we're going to be able to do a large number of our events in that space, particularly the education ones we have for the young people. And for them to be able to go into a space like that and experience music in that atmosphere, I think is just going to greatly enhance what we're doing on the educational side. Now, I always like to share what happens across the state from this. And once again, once we have our Performing Arts Center, we're going to be a huge part of adding to this. Over $2 billion in economic activity in the state comes from the arts. That is a little over $200 million in taxes. 71,000 people are employed in the arts across North Carolina. And that is $1.5 billion in the income that those people are making because of the arts. So the arts are huge. And the impact that they have across our state is really, really important. And Greensboro is very much now becoming at the epicenter of that. And it's really exciting to see what is happening here. So we have our healthy, we have our wealthy. The wise piece is one of the most compelling parts of this for me. When you look at what involvement in the arts does for young people, it does not matter what dimension you look at. It has a huge impact on their lives. Students who are involved in the arts are far more likely to stay in school and to be engaged in school and to, not only make it out the door in terms of graduating from high school, but also to go on to college and to do well in college and perform well beyond that. So just getting them there is a huge part of the value of the arts. It gives them that small, meaningful community that everyone wants a young person to be a part of, that is supporting, good behavior, discipline, creativity, all the things that you want for the young men and women in a community. Because of that impact and the fact that they are there and they are actively involved, they score higher in every aspect of what you would hope to see for a young person in school. Their GPAs are higher and significantly higher. Their SAT scores are higher. And it actually does not take much involvement in the arts to get an increase in SAT scores. If you have half a semester of exposure to the arts, in any kind of the arts, it can be music, it can be dance, it can be theater, it can be the visual arts, it does not matter. Those students score 58 points higher on their SATs. And the longer they are involved in the arts, the greater that increase becomes, to where after, a significant involvement there, it is 200 points higher. That is a huge increase on SAT scores. And it makes the difference, not that this was an SAT score, but it makes the difference between being able to go to a community college and getting to go to Yale. So it has a huge, huge impact on what is happening with the students. And on the standardized test scores that you all know all of our students are involved in, if a student is involved in the arts, they're scoring between 18 and 23% higher on those standardized tests. And music has the biggest impact. At the 23%, those are the students who've been involved in music. And there's one other study that I want to share with you, and this is where we very much get at the causation piece around what the arts are doing. There is a part of Los Angeles that is just an incredibly impoverished part of the city. And the students there drop out of school at an alarming rate. 66% of the students in that area do not complete high school. And many of them don't even make it into high school because they just drop out when they're in middle school and never return. So as you can imagine, that part of the city has incredibly high crime, and it's a very, very depressed area. A group went into that area with something that looks a lot like the Greensboro Symphony's beginning strings program, and said, we are going to get these children when they're young, we're going to give them a stringed instrument, and we're going to give them the lessons they need to learn how to play that stringed instrument. And it has been going on long enough now that the students who started in it have started graduating from high school and going on to college. In an area where 66% of the students are dropping out, 98% of the students who have gone through this program are going on to college. And they are the first students in their family to do so. So it's just remarkable. Now, once again, to get at this whole issue around causation, Northwestern University sent a ton of neuroscientists in there and said, we want to understand what is really happening. Is it that it was the supportive community and the fact that they felt loved? What is really happening here? So we can figure out how to actually duplicate this kind of work in other parts of the country. And you can do all sorts of things now with imaging on the brain. And they started checking these children when they were young and how their brains were processing information. And once again, after 6 months, there are distinct differences in the part of the brain that deal with creative problem solving, analytical abilities, and the way the students were processing information. After 2 years, it was distinctly different. And so a huge difference in the way these students are actually processing information. So it is the wonderful supportive community, it's the people who love you, but it's taking students who otherwise are not in an enriched environment where they can develop this part of their brain and giving them the opportunity through music to actually develop it, even though they probably are going home to a setting that is not creating the rich environment that would enable students to process information in the way that they are. So now there are efforts across the country to figure out how we can duplicate the Harmony Project. But we, of course, are already doing it here in Greensboro because we already have this wonderful beginning strings program, which also targets those students who are at greatest risk of dropping out of school. So you've been a part of a program that is very much like something that is winning huge awards coming out of Los Angeles. Now, the last piece I want to share with you relative to this whole WISE piece, and to me, this is one of the most intriguing aspects of the impact the arts have on someone. The Nobel Prize Committee loves to conduct all sorts of studies and come up with all these statistics around what really are the traits that will make someone a Nobel Prize winner. And depending upon the area in which one is being considered for a Nobel Prize, there are certain things that are true of those people. For someone winning a Nobel Prize in the sciences, they have found those individuals are 17 times more likely than the average person, even the average scientist, to have been involved in some way in the arts. And I learned that statistic, and I thought I would love to know if that is true for the Nobel Prize winners who've come from North Carolina. And different states look at their Nobel Prize winners in different ways. Some states will claim someone as a Nobel Prize winner if they were just born in that state. North Carolina, for whatever reason, likes to track it back to the institutions people were working at when they won the Nobel Prize. And we could actually probably claim more people than we claim because they had roots in North Carolina, but they were not in North Carolina at a North Carolina institution when they won the Nobel Prize. So we lay claim to 4 Nobel Prize winners. And luckily for people who love to think about the UNC-Duke rivalry, 2 of them are from UNC and 2 of them are from Duke. It's a wonderful, even split. I actually am friends with one of them, and he's an absolutely delightful fellow. And when you win a Nobel Prize, you are given the opportunity to create this fabulous biography of yourself on the Nobel Prize site where people can read everything that you believe is important about you. And the people who have won a Nobel Prize in the science love to talk about their work in the sciences. So these tend to be incredibly boring biographies. Where, you know, when I was 7, I loved to make model rockets, and then when I was in high school, chemistry was my favorite subject. And then once they get to college, it really is all the courses that they took, all the people that they studied with, and it just stays that way. Some of them don't even mention having wives, children, anything. What is fascinating when you look up our 4 Nobel Prize winners, and I actually expanded this to a lot of Nobel Prize winners in the Southeast because I wanted to see if it was true. We have 4. 3 of them, in the midst of these incredibly complicated, let me explain to you how I became an expert in this incredibly obscure field, talk about the impact the arts had on them. Robert Lefkowitz, who's the fellow I know at Duke, played the drums when he was a kid, and he has an entire section about how important that was to him and how it made his family crazy, that they wished he'd picked a different instrument. And like I said, it's all in here where he's talking about, I know all about gene receptors and how that can, you know, solve all these, you know, horrible disease issues that people have now. And oh, by the way, let me tell you about how important playing the drums were to me. Paul Modrich, who was the other Duke winner, was a visual artist, and he has once again an entire section about how important painting was to him and how it made him who he was today. And these are people, once again, who are not telling you, I have wives and I have children, and they do. The third one, Oliver Smithies, who was at UNC, who actually passed away not that long ago, he spends, in many ways, more time talking about the importance music had in his life than talking about the importance science had in his life. He says, when I was 2, I started singing, and I had a great voice. And based on that, my mother put me in the choir at the local church. And so I sang the whole way through elementary school, middle school, high school. Then I was given the opportunity to go away to university, and I learned how to play a musical instrument. And then he goes on to talk about how as an adult, he taught himself to play the flute, and throughout his adult life, how important that was to him. So clearly there is some link here, some really important link between the arts and this creative expression and the ability to then go on and win a Nobel Prize. The last thing that I want to share with you, because you heard when you got my intro, I spend an awful lot of my time in the innovation space. And we all know how important innovation is, you know, to the future of our world, the future of our country, the future of Guilford County and Greensboro. You know, we're all focused on that. Given that I teach innovation in a university setting, I speak to a lot of people around the world about what they are looking for in terms of a new hire that they will bring into their company. And it does not matter the type of the organization you speak with. I can talk to the investment bankers at Goldman, and they will say, we want people who know how to be innovators. I can talk to the people, at some of the big pharmaceutical companies, and they will say, we need innovators. I can talk to the people in Silicon Valley, and they of course say, we need innovators. And when I drill a little bit more deeply beyond that, and I say, when you look at a resume, what are you really looking to see that will let you know those people were innovators? They say two things. One is, they obviously did something innovative while they were students. They could speak to, I was part of this organization, I helped create this club, I have students who are starting companies. They look for that. But before they said that, every single one of them says, we look to see if they were involved in the arts. Because we have found if we bring someone into our organization who had an involvement in the arts, they truly know how to innovate. They understand what it means to be out in front of people and fail, and to be trying something new and it didn't work well because of the constant performance that they have to do. They understand what it means to create a work of art and be critiqued and have people say, I don't really like that work of art, you need to do something differently. That is a totally different way of being educated, and that in turn makes them very strong innovators. I know a young woman who, when she went to college, the only thing she wanted to be was a visual artist. So she majored in painting. She then went on to get an MBA at Yale. And when Google came in to hire someone from the MBA program at Yale, she was the only one they interviewed. She was the only one who got a job. Because they said, we can't afford to bring that many people in from any one school, and we know someone who has this combination. They've been through a rigorous painting program and put themselves on the line to do that, and they have an MBA. That is the type of person we're looking for. So the arts are huge. And that is the end of everything I have to say. And thank you for letting me do it with a blank screen behind me.